Hi guys, today is April 27th, 2023. I'm currently running short on this entry here. This entry is not what I would consider my high probability entries, but I am definitely in it and I took it based on a few different reasons, but I don't have massive confidence with it, right? And that might be the reason for this video. It might really just be talking about getting into entries that aren't high probability and just having a reaction. And maybe it doesn't work out for me, and we'll see it. Even live here on this video. But I wanted to explain what got me in here anyway, so then we can build our knowledge, build our and maybe make a discussion on it. Like if there's things that we need to talk about. Anyway, let's have a little look as far as what's going on. So here's our higher time frame outlook. We're on the EU Euro US dollar 1 hour time frame. On the left, I've got my buy side. On the right, I have my sell side drawings. So what I've seen is on the right hand side, we've mitigated a 1 hour sell primary deep mitigation right at the top up here, and then down at the bottom, we started mitigating transitional order blocks. Right, transitional order blocks will always become liquidity, right? But they don't have to become liquidity right now. If they mitigate a transitional order block, there is probability that they can, not probability, there's an expectation that they can have a reaction. That's really what it is. It's just an expectation of a potential reaction. So that's what I see here. It's that transitional um, order block, and always, in my experience, always transitional order blocks will become liquidity. Always, always, always. It's just a matter of when. So if you mitigate a regular range and it's transitional, but a regular range, it's likely just to create cause in that moment. Whereas if you mitigate a transitional order block, it's likely to create cause, but to have a breaking structure also. So as you can see, I'm favoring sells. Got this 1 hour mitigation here, another 1 hour mitigation here. Yes, it's transitional, but we know we can have that pullback. And if we actually go down now to our lower time frame sell structure, make sure we're on a 1 minute, we can see here's that first mitigation, here's that second transitional one, and straight after the second transitional one, we created a setup range, right? And here was the qualified order block inside of that setup range. Now remember, this is like 1 a.m. I'm not nowhere near the screen. Right now it's 9:22 a.m. And you can see that we had a news event bang on at 5:30. And what do? They pulled price up, and by a wick only, they come right into the qualified order block and then initiate aggressively away. That's really giving me a good insight as to what's going on, right? They've mitigated the qualified order block and then initiated away fast and furious. Yeah, I'm interested. And so I draw out this order block, and this is actually the qualified order block right here as well. This one's a qualified order block here as well. Harder to see, but this one is this whole thing is just like a sell primary, but it's a sell primary qualified order block. What do we mean by a qualified order block? Well, when the order block formed, it took liquidity, which is very important. Then it initiated away on itself, breaking structure, taking out transitional order blocks, and leaving inefficient price action behind. That ticks all the boxes for a qualified order block. Okay, straight after the qualified order block, we had this range. And this is a range that I believe is built to hold price, right? Very important, but built to hold price. Now we're getting into my session. And I get to the screen right around here, 7 o'clock, right? So I see this, and the first thing I say to myself or note here is this is not activated. There is no break of structure that this could have taken to activate. Here was the finish. It finished forming somewhere around here. We're looking for break of structure, ideally down here, maybe down here, but we just never got it. So it's not activated. So we stay out of it, right? And this is really built for cause. And where did it stop? Right below this range that I believe was built to hold price. So as I see price then nibbling back in and just starts coming into that range, I'm looking for entries. I'm looking for a lower time frame buy primary that turns into a sell primary. That's really what I'm looking for. And I just did not get it. But I did see that it started to mitigate here and started to walk price down. And so I'm interested in a potential entry. That's when I start observing this sell primary. Now, this is a weak sell primary, but it's a primary nonetheless. You can see that here was the structure. This is a 1 minute inside bar. This is where it gets tricky because I wouldn't usually use this, right? I'd like to personally use this entire range as the liquidity. And if we were to use that as liquidity with the break of structure, this high never goes over the top of it. This one right here never goes up over the top. It just matches. So I wasn't really interested in it. But then on the 1 minute, I notice it was the inside bar right there. I'm going to just leave it there for a second and click away so you can see it. Okay, so it's this one right here. So range, initiation, breaker structure, and then they come back over the top to create a sell primary. All right, so that's the range I'm playing off of, this sell primary. Now, we've had one entry into it, and we could have, you know, another dip in. They might need to come in more liquidity. It might be that this isn't going to hold at all because it is such a lower time frame thing. Either way, it is what it is, and we're just we're trading off of what we saw, right, and what we see. So now let's have a little discussion about this entry. So this is the entry. So there is no setup range, right? So I'm playing off of a pure sell primary. Okay, so here's my sell primary range and it's lower time frame as well. But based upon, there we go. Based upon this, the range built to hold price, it's because of this is what's getting me involved, and the qualified order block up here. This is all the thing telling me this sell primary not activating, creating cause, then have a mitigation right above it, and then we create a sell primary. That's the only thing that's getting me in. I'm not saying this is high probability. I don't know if this is going to work out at all. In fact, any of my trades, I don't know if they're ever going to work out. This is just something I'm a little bit more concerned about than regular. Okay, so I'm not trading from a sell primary. I'm not trading from a setup sell primary range, which is different from just a regular sell primary. This is just a regular sell primary. There was no buy primary built just before it. There was no entry modal. So, with that said, this is the range. Then we start where? From a liquefied state. You see, we had, it didn't come above this range, but it did come above this one. So range, initiation, break of structure. What does that do? It adds money right there. So we start right there. Leg one, leg two down here. We've got a breaking structure here, and we've got a range right here. So range, initiation, break of structure. What does that do? It stacks money right there. So we've got liquefied state into another liquidity grabbed state. And then we go back up into one more, another liquidated state. Now, if I clean up my chart, we'll see the third one clearer. And so we've got liquidity up here and here, right? We put it here as well. So we're definitely interested in taking this out. But if we can take out this liquidity also, we're really happy. And that's what this qualified range does. And that's why I got so interested in it. I think you can see it more on a 5-second chart. But you see how price comes up and it halts right at the high here. And then it pulls back and creates this very weak looking range order block, I guess you can say. But the key is it took the liquidity from here and from here in one go. And that's what I liked most about this was that moment there. And so as soon as I see a transitional order block get taken, as soon as I see IPA step in to the market, inefficient price action, I could have had my order sat up here. I could have had it like nice and tight. I could have done a 1 pip stop easily on this one. Could have easily done 1 pip stop. And I was watching it like a hawk in this area, like what's going on? Is it going to go? You know, and so there was. I could have been done by now if we're maybe not done. But there's 8R, but could have been, coulda, woulda, shoulda, doesn't really matter because the way I entered was like this, right? And the way I chose to enter was a 1.5 pip stop. I measured it, made sure my high would have been right at the top, covering the high here, covering here, and I just put it as a self-stop order. So it looked just like that, and then I got tagged in immediately or very soon after placing my order. Boom, and then the rest is history, right? We're just pushing away. So now, the moment we went and took out this structure down here, the moment that happened, I went BE. I'm break even on this one. Now, I would like to have kept this stop open. This is a range right here. It looks like it took liquidity here. There could have been breaker structure. It's definitely a sell primary of sorts, lower time frame version. And so it could actually have a reaction. They could want to come up into this area, take my liquidity and go. But I'm not willing. I'm not willing because we're playing off of this very weak looking with this inside 1 minute inside bar, very weak looking sell primary. So I'm not interested in that. I am going to hold. I'm not going to take profit anywhere else except for here. If we are forming this sell primary, it's definitely going to come down here to this point here, right? At least if this is forming a sell primary, unless we're doing something else crazy that we don't understand, and that's okay. So let's just hold out. We'll see what happens. I'll come back and come back with a resolution on this trade. This is going to be probably my one and only trade for the day, unless I see something in the next sort of 20, between now and the time when this either takes profit or goes back to break even. Unless I see something in between that time, I will be not trading making any additional trades. The reason is I've got a lot to do today, and this is the benefit that trading affords us, is to have an actual life. And I've got some stuff I need to do with life today, so that's why I'm cutting my session as short as I can and get away from the screen as soon as possible. So we'll just wait for this to play out. Shouldn't be too long unless we end up ranging, but I'll give it 20 minutes, half an hour or so, and see what happens. All right. Yeah, I'll come back on the video and do an update. All right. Thank you. Okay, guys. So here's the conclusion. It came as close as to like 8.6, something like that, 8.6 R. In hindsight, you can always say to yourself, "Oh, I should have closed. Should have closed." But I had full expectation of it coming down here. But uh, I have already gone BE as well and got just taken out a few seconds ago. But I wanted to talk about this because it's so fantastic, right? So here we are, and this is important, I think, right? So we're trading from a qualified order block. We've got this range built to hold price, right? And we get this tap, and then we get this um, sell block, which we trade off of, right? Which gives us an entry, everything. So everything was good. The trade was good. I'm not mad at the trade. I'm not mad that it didn't work out. But it's this other part that is easy to forget about, but so freaking fantastic. And this is why what we have here works is so special. So we have this on the buy side. We have this setup range completely activated with break of structure. And so as we're selling into that, we know that setup ranges don't have to hold. No range has to hold. But there's a chance that we could be creating something, right? And it wasn't until I noticed this right here, from a liquidity grab state into a liquidity grab state, down into another liquidity grab state with a qualified order block. And if we let's just clean up the drawings real quick, and then there, and then go into a 15 seconds, you can see it much easier. And so now you can see the qualified block. Let me point that out because I find that to be the most significant here. See how it took liquidity from beneath this buy primary? Just see where my dotted line is, and ray it out. You see how it was this piece of price action here that came down, took the liquidity, then broke up on itself. Uh, IPA, takes out a transitional, breaks of structure, all the rest of it. It's just everything's there that you need. So when I saw this, I went, "Oh fuck," because I am short and I want my shorts to work out. And so I'm like, "Oh, whatever, whatever, whatever. It is what it is." And so I see this. So now we've got a setup range with a freaking beautiful, beautiful entry over here. We should be going north. We should be, hopefully, we should have been able to get into one of these and go. But what I noticed was there was no entry. Notice how this block, never came back to. There was another buy primary here, but didn't activate until the break of structure. Never, never, never came back to it. So for me, there was no entry anyway. It, I mean, it was hard. It was hard to enter. Like you could always enter sort of like that on a stop order, 2.5, maybe something like that. But you really want to be waiting for breaks of structure. I guess this would have been a break of structure. You're entering. It's just tricky. It's just tricky because you don't want to have a big stop. Not on one like this. So it is what it is. Price is ascending, and it's doing exactly what we'd have hoped and what we'd have thought it would have done. An entry signal was created inside a setup signal and off and away. I just didn't catch it. This is a fantastic learning day. That's what I'm going to be using it as. I've had a fantastic week already, and this just is like the icing on the cake, really. Yeah, my sell trade didn't work out. That's completely fine. I would have liked, obviously, had the preference of it working out, but to see this occur as well, it just reminds me that you've got to keep your eye on the ball, and you've really got to be looking at everything in every moment when you're in your trading session. That's really the best thing you can ever do. And taking that short, maybe I should have gone. Well, hey, I'm trading into a buy primary. Like down here, maybe they're going to do something with it. Maybe I should have taken profit at 50% or something like that down here, 6, 7 hour. You never know, but I'm happy with the way I've traded this week or so far, and I know we've got one more day. And yeah, that's it. Aloha to anyone watching. Thank you so much. I hope everyone's doing great, smashing it, crushing it, having the most fantastic life possible. And I will catch you on the next one.